Season 3. This season, we're exploring what no more nice really looks like. And today's episode is nice versus kind. The cost of suppressed truth. What is it really costing us? What happens to our bodies when honesty consistently feels unsafe? What happens when someone spends years, decades, filtering, softening, shrinking, delaying, suppressing, or emotionally editing their truth in order to preserve a connection, avoid conflict, or maintain emotional safety? Because suppressed truth rarely stays silent. The body eventually speaks. The body carries what the mouth never says. And honestly, I'm beginning to realize that for many of us, niceness became a nervous system strategy before it ever became a personality trait. Some of us became experts at reading rooms because honesty was never guaranteed. Reading tone, reading withdrawal, reading silence, reading shifts in energy, and knowing that there's a spiritual change happening. And feeling when we're being tolerated instead of celebrated. Because sometimes no one ever says anything directly, but the body feels the room change anyway. And honestly, sometimes passive aggression even sounds spiritual. Well, bless your heart, bless their heart. I'm praying for them. I wish them well. Meanwhile, privately, internally, with other people, there is resentment, there's comparison, there's gossip, there's judgment, or indirect hostility quietly living underneath the surface. And maybe this is why so many of us are emotionally exhausted because we've been carrying this burden year after year, decade after decade, because avoidance does not create peace. It often creates confusion, distance, resentment, passive aggression, emotional exhaustion, and nervous system stress. So today we're exploring and talking about nice versus kind, suppressed truth, emotional survival, passive aggression versus assertiveness, emotional safety, nervous system protection, and reclaiming, honestly, what it means to self express ourselves without losing our softness. So, welcome to Cut to the Chase at 8, Her Circle. Her standing for high performing, empowered, ready to thrive. Hey y'all, I'm Madison Samone Chase, also known as Miss Chase. I was raised by an incredible single mom who is my biggest fan, my BFF, my bestie, my best friend for real. I am a celebrity certified personal trainer, fitness and wellness expert, and sports and entertainment media host. I was born in Fort Worth, raised in Dallas, Texas, and built in Los Angeles, California. I trained at Juilliard in New York City with the School of American Ballet, becoming the world's only three-time ESPN Miss Fitness champion, appearing in over 450 fitness DVDs. The first of those fitness DVDs was led by none other than the GOAT celebrity trainer, Gunnar Peterson himself, known for training the Kardashian family. As a personal trainer, I've worked with Robert Pattinson of Twilight and Batman, Chris Tucker of Rush Hour, and Amber Riley of Glee, Dancing with the Stars, and The Masked Singer champion. And as a sports and entertainment media host, I've had the joy of interviewing Richard Branson, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Emma Stone, Viola Davis, Tyler Perry, and Tiana Taylor, to name a few. I share my story to honor the sacrifices my mom planted so that I could blossom into the woman I am still becoming. So, if you're listening at home, pull up a digital chair, grab yourself some herbal tea, or if you're listening digitally or online, grab yourself a digital chair And welcome to my cozy home of Cut to the Chase at 8, Her Circle, C2TC8. HER stands for high performing, empowered, and ready to thrive because this space was created for us, for women and some men who are growing, healing, reevaluating, and becoming in real time. Because this is where we explore life, spirit, mind, and body through lived experiences and intentional growth. So join me daily for just 15 minutes, sometimes a little more, twice a day at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Central. I try my best to get it there during that time because this is our daily pause for a cause, for clarity, for wellness, for allowing grace in this space, whatever space and season you're in, and for intentional decision making. Each episode, my offer to you and to myself is three keys and one reflection question. Something that we could actually sit with, something practical, something grounded, and something that you could hopefully carry with you. So let's take a breath together. We're going to inhale for three, two, one. Exhale for five, four, three, two, one. Let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. Let's get ready. Let's get set. And let's grow. One thing I'm beginning to realize in this season is that nice and kind are not the same thing. And honestly, I never fully thought about that until I looked up the definition. One definition of nice described itself as pleasant, agreeable, socially acceptable, and satisfactory. Who wants satisfactory on their scorecard? But kindness was described as genuine care, compassion, consideration, benevolence, and generosity of spirit. I don't know about you, but I'd rather have someone be kind to me and not nice to me. And the more I sat with those two definitions, the more I began to realize that nice often protects perception. Kindness protects honesty, integrity, emotional safety, and truth. And honestly, I think many of us, including myself, we're still learning how to emotionally edit ourselves. And we're still learning that it's more important to learn how to express ourselves honestly in the moment. And it's not because we are weak, and it's not because we are fake, but because honesty did not always feel emotionally or physically safe. For some people, honesty risked conflict, withdrawal, rejection, disapproval, abandonment, or losing connection. And so many of us, we adapted because that's what we do. We soften our truth. We soften our boundaries or we blur our boundaries. We soften our discomfort or blur our discomfort and call it something else. We soften what we actually need. We soften our self expression. And eventually, some of us learn how to preserve connection by disconnecting from ourselves and who we are being called and purposed to be. Because I always thought I was a good communicator. I thought because I expressed emotions openly that I was assertive. But I remember my very first session with my licensed therapist telling me during our first session that I was actually aggressive and passive aggressive instead of assertive in certain situations. And honestly, man, that really humbled me because she was right. I realized there were more moments where I would suppress my discomfort, avoid honesty in real time, build resentment internally, and talk around the person or the issue And when I did eventually communicate them, they came from a place of frustration instead of clarity. And that is not assertiveness. That's delayed honesty. And honestly, suppression does not disappear simply because it stays unspoken. It stays silent. Or you talk around the person instead of directly speaking to the person who you may have an issue with. Because the nervous system remembers what the mouth avoids. The body often reacts to what the room refuses to say directly. Sometimes the headache, the exhaustion, the stomach tension, the delayed digestion, the shallow breathing, the hypervigilance, the anxiety, the trying to control other people and situations that are uncontrollable, or the emotional fatigue, it is not random. Sometimes our bodies are responding to prolonged emotional suppression because when honesty consistently feels unsafe, the nervous system often chooses survival over self expression. And honestly, many emotionally agreeable people become highly observant people when we start to seek honesty and clarity. And not because we're being paranoid, but because survival often heightens observation. What happens is we begin to read tones, unspoken tones. We start to read the room better. We start to read silence. We start to read emotional withdrawal and shifts in energy. We start to read it. And we could see it in people's eyes. You could see it in people's tone. You could see it in group text situations where you know that there's been other conversations around me and or about me, but never directly to me. Because when honesty is absent, people often learn how to read what is unspoken instead. And honestly, one of the hardest realizations is recognizing when someone has emotionally discussed you everywhere around you except directly with you or to you. And sometimes no one openly says anything, but the room changes. And some people spend years overperforming in spaces where they have only been tolerated because no one has communicated honestly. And yes, that is a disappointment. And it could feel painful, especially in church spaces, Bible study small groups, Bible studies, friend groups, work groups, romantic relationships, and group chats where indirect communication has become normalized. And honestly, sometimes passive aggression sounds spiritual. That's where this idea of Christian curses came to mind for me. It's not profanity, but the bless your heart or bless their heart or I'm praying for them. I wish them well. Meanwhile, privately, there is resentment, there is comparison, there is envy, there is jealousy, there is gossip, there is greed, there is judgment, or indirect hostility quietly living underneath the surface of the bless your hearts. And honestly, one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit is kindness. But kindness and niceness are not the same thing. Kindness tells the truth with love, and it tells your truth with love. Passive aggression avoids truth while quietly building resentment and sometimes building resentment around the person that you are starting to resent because you never said it directly or we've never said it directly. And maybe healing is finally learning that honesty does not automatically destroy real unconditional love that is meant for you, or safety and softness, or spirituality, or connection. Because maybe healthy communication is what allows healthy connection to exist in the first place. And honestly, this is why learning SAC, spontaneous assertive communication, can feel so clunky at first because we're disrupting years of emotional survival patterns in real time. Patterns of hinting instead of asking, patterns of withdrawing instead of clarifying, patterns of isolating so that we don't have to express our truth, patterns of venting instead of communicating, patterns of dumping on people instead of honestly communicating. And talking around people and gossiping around people instead of honestly speaking to the person that you're gossiping about. And maybe this season is not about becoming harder. Maybe it's about finally feeling safe enough to become honest. And you have to know where in those spaces and who you feel safe around because not everybody is cheering for you. And not everybody who you are connected to may have your best intentions when they don't even realize that they are gossiping around you. And so this is not for us to be harsh, not for this to be aggressive, not to be cold, but honest. Because owning our voice does not make us difficult, it makes us present. So here are my three keys for today. What I'm learning in this season of being assertive and learning spontaneous assertive communication. Key number one, nice and kind are not the same thing. Niceness often develops around approval, emotional safety, perception, and avoiding discomfort and avoiding what we sometimes think that we think it's abandonment or we think it is dismissal or we think that is losing something or someone that we think may be beneficial or that may be good for us and really they're not. And sometimes a setback is really a setup for greatness because kindness communicates truth with honesty, compassion, discernment, and integrity. And key number two, for many of us, niceness became a nervous system strategy before it became a personality trait. And sometimes that niceness and that nervous system, because we want to avoid conflict at all costs, because we think we're maintaining a relationship or a friendship when really it is self sabotaging ourselves and our truth. Because suppression, people pleasing, emotional shrinking, hypervigilance, walking on eggshells, indirect communication, gossiping, and passive aggression may have originally developed as protection against rejection, abandonment, instability, conflict, or disconnection. Which brings me to key number three. Suppressed truth does not disappear. The body often remembers and carries what the mouth never ever says audibly. And learning emotionally honest communication, it takes practice, especially for many of us who were taught how to preserve a connection before we learn how to preserve ourselves. And the one reflection question that I'm sitting with in this season of my life is where in my life have I been emotionally editing myself, my voice, my truth, in order to maintain a connection, approval, or safety, or this feeling of belonging when I have always been an eagle, not with the chickens and the hens and the pigeons. So before you go, I want to say thank you truly for sharing this time with me. It has been an honor to sit with you in this space. So let's quickly revisit today's three keys. Key number one, nice and kind are not the same thing. Key number two, for many of us, niceness became a nervous system strategy before it ever became a personality trait. Key number three, suppressed truth does not disappear. The body often carries what the mouth never says. And our one reflection question: where in our lives have we been emotionally editing ourselves in order to maintain a connection, approval, safety, or belonging? So, if today's episode offered you clarity, grounding, or a pause for a cause you didn't know you needed, or if there's anything that I've said today that pricked your heart or lit a spark, please subscribe and share this with someone you care about. And leave a comment so that this isn't a monologue but a dialogue. And please leave a 5-star rating because it helps this space to grow. Now let's close with one breath. We're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll see you tomorrow again at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is Cut to the Chase at 8, C2TC8, Her Circle, high performing, empowered, ready to thrive. Circle with me, Madison Samone Chase. Let's cut the noise. Let's get clear. Let's get ready, set, grow, and go and be great. Blessings to you and yours until tomorrow.